I'm going to let Jeff kind of kick this one off because you want to talk about the Project Veritas and all that stuff. So
yeah, I mean, and this is what's weird about it, because when I initially saw what was going on, like,
well, what is going on?
I'm gonna let you know. Yeah,
Okay.
Project Veritas, they fired the guy who started it, James O'Keefe. They kicked him out of his own company, and they said it was because he like stole a pregnant lady's sandwich or something like that out of the work refrigerator. But like the timing of it, like it was right after the stuff that came out about Pfizer and all that stuff, and it's like, well, that's a super powerful company. All of a sudden, they're releasing all this bad information about Pfizer, and next thing you know, the guy who started the company's fired and kicked out of it. Like the timing of that just seems super sketchy. And then, but like I've seen them actually release a couple things on Project Veritas the other day. Like James O'Keefe started a new company, and it's funny. It's called OMG, O'Keefe Media Group, and like. Of course, he was saying bad things about Project Veritas.
Is it just doing the same exact thing that Project Veritas was doing?
Oh, but like stepping it up like 1,000 times. Like he's actually doing this like thing where people can like crowdfund and crowdsource and provide money, and you can actually pay to get your own camera. Like if you work for some company and want to do what they already do, but like. He wants like an entire army of it's not Veritas anymore, but an entire army of people with cameras, like undercover cameras out there,
calling out people.
Yeah, revealing bad information.
It's definitely a smart thing to do, because when we're talking about this whole exposing society or like cancel culture, whatever the hell you want to call it, when it comes down to it, if you have more people who are just interested in going out and like exposing these people, just give it to your random everyday average person, because no one's going to suspect this normal person who has no platform that they're putting on social media and stuff like that. Those are the people who are going to catch people. So but then you start getting into like the validity of whether or not this person can be trusted or whatever, and all that, and was it scripted, are they tampering with things to make it look like the person who said this or that was bad. So
yeah, I mean, usually they have some sort of receipts, like they've released like the emails and stuff that were sent out company wide on certain things and stuff. I mean, and they verified, like, because they tried to say that like the guy Jordan, whatever, the guy that flipped out and like ripped his tablet
Jordan
out
Walker.
of his hand, Jordan Walker, and broke the tablet and all that stuff. They were trying to say afterwards that like he didn't actually work for Pfizer and stuff, and then other people that worked for Pfizer like released like information from their like computers and stuff, like verifying that he worked there and who he was in his position and stuff.
When it all came out and you started sending us that shit, I went up and like looked if he actually worked at Pfizer or whatever. That was the first thing I did.
Yeah,
and like it's confirmed.
It.
Yeah, no, he definitely worked at Pfizer.
He still does.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
This man's gonna end up dead on a beach somewhere.
Yep.
What?
James O'Keefe?
Yeah. He's gonna end up dead on a beach somewhere.
I mean, there have been plenty of whistleblowers that have died in suspicious, events. So, like the people that have suicided themselves, like by shooting themselves twice, shooting themselves like twice in the head or something like that. Like it's just ridiculous. Like,
yeah. So, he got fired from Project Veritas, and now, like, what's going on with Project Veritas? I know he's doing his own thing now.
Well, right. He came out and like he did like some Twitter Spaces talks about it, and he actually went live on a couple different shows and stuff to talk about what he was doing now, and he launched the O'Keefe Media Group. There's a website for it and everything, but like he basically said like that it was because of corruption. But of course he's going to say that, but like he said that they kicked him out because of the Pfizer stuff and all that. And
it seems like corruption is the reason
right.
why.
No, I mean, that's what I think. At least it seems that way. But of course he's going to say that either way, especially when he's trying to start a new business venture and stuff. But like, I didn't unfollow Project Veritas because I just wanted to see if they're still going to release different information. And they've still been releasing insider information.
They're still doing their thing.
Oh yeah, they released some stuff about Pfizer again. It wasn't anything like bombshell like that other stuff, but then they also have still been releasing stuff about the grooming in schools in like New York and different things like that.
Everybody's releasing a lot of information about that though.
That porn stuff in the books.
Yeah. But I mean,
that's crazy.
There's some of the ones they were like
stuff,
the first ones like really like pushing that stuff. Like got insiders to get in there and talk with people who were like the head of like school directors and stuff like that, and revealed a lot of that information like pretty early on when people were just suspecting that it was going on, but there was no actual proof. So
right, so they're still doing their thing, because I kind of heard, I'm not sure if it was you or just a couple other people who have been talking about it, but I heard that like the content that Project Veritas specifically is becoming like a little bit more mundane. Like it's not as like cutting edge, like breaking as it used to since O'Keefe's left. Is there any like ground to that?
I mean, they haven't broke any like major stories, but it's only been a couple weeks, so who knows, like exactly, if that's just because it hasn't been enough time and excuse me, they haven't got anything like
there's just been no hard hitting news stories.
Yeah, nothing that's been of that magnitude yet. But
yeah.
I mean, they've still been releasing stuff, and whoever's at Project Veritas is still trying to run a successful company, whether they're trying to do it with an insider's edge and like not going to reveal certain stories and cover it up, like I don't know, like certain media groups tried to do with like the Epstein situation and stuff, like where if they get a story that's big and they're like, oh no, we can't tell that story. I don't know if that's what's going to happen or not, but I mean, James O'Keefe sure thinks that that's the way it's going to go on. But
yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I just don't see the whole like rationale behind getting rid of this guy, because it kind of seemed like he was like at the forefront of this whole like exposing, like not exposing like journalism, but doing it on like the scale that he did. Not like a grand scale, but like it's kind of like a Twitter thing. It was like more specific towards like the like backroom type dealings. You know what I'm trying to explain there?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
like it just doesn't make sense that when you're doing this type of media and this type of exposure and stuff like that, why you would get rid of the dude who's at the head of it. So
I'm guessing because there was information that was, that he was privy to, that he put out there. Maybe it was the Pfizer stuff, and maybe it was other stuff that he knew that he never even released yet, that he had, that they probably didn't like, and something was going on in the background with the, people that held the information and whoever the information was about. I mean, there's all kinds of shit behind the scenes of these things that we have absolutely no idea about.
But that's kind of what they do.
That's
so
my point.
Obviously, he has that information. So
why not?
You just think that he had some information that was just so off the wall, fucking just going to absolutely break society.
But
had to get rid of it.
I don't know if it was that crazy, but it was something that Project Veritas in the background was possibly being paid or doing something behind the scenes
to
look the other way. And if you pay enough money, because what did we just say, Bailey? Everything's about fucking money, right?
Money and power.
That's right. If you pay enough money to anyone, it seems like you can buy them off. And I think shit like that happens more than with everything and everyone.
Oh yeah, well, no doubt. There's definitely
I would think that some like a company like Project Veritas and O'Keefe, I would think that they'd be a little bit more above that, because they do specialize in something that's exposing. At this point in time, it's not.
They were. Yes, they were.
If they still are. That's the question.
Yeah, they got the guy out that wasn't.
But
gonna put up with that.
Yeah, in defense of that, I will say that like it's not the first time that someone that created a company, after the company goes public, that they get rid of the guy that created it. It happened with Twitter. I mean, it happened
with Apple.
Yeah, it happens all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like the board members have a different view of where the company should be going than the guy who started it.
Well, it all comes down to money, like they were even saying too before. I mean, there's this big gaming corporation called FaZe that recently they're going through a whole bunch of shit. Like that, what happened was they had this really fun idea with all these guys who were making money off playing video games, and then they started going into like this more clout chasing thing, bought a house, and were making like YouTube videos and stuff like that. Well, in order to expand the business, they started bringing in like these professionals at Silicon Valley and stuff like that, and they're just so out of touch with what makes FaZe that they want to bring it into the corporate side. And it's like their stocks went from like the company was worth $1 billion, and now it's like $3 million or something like that, and like this all happened in a couple months. So
yeah, but the whole gaming industry, live streaming industry is down massively anyway. Like, and I think the only reason it ever made it as big as it did was because of COVID. People were stuck in their houses, and that's kind of when the huge boom of it started happening.
I think because we're talking about like when FaZe was starting to come up and stuff like this. This was like kind of like the golden era of YouTube, when like Logan Paul, Jake Paul, the Steve will do it, and then we're all coming up, and that was all pre-COVID. And
It was.
like, I don't think that it might be dying a little bit now, but I think that the video game industry has been on the ups for a while. I think this specifically, all these, corporations, because everyone who's anyone has a gaming corporation now, and I think it's just becoming so overly saturated. But
Exactly.
that's besides the point. We're not talking about the gaming thing. I'm just equating that to like maybe there was something with this that like.
No, FaZe is fucking up big time. But
Yeah, they are.
But like the whole overall community is down.
Yeah, but I'm just saying once you start getting, breaking these stories like with the Pfizer thing, if the money starts coming in, you get a little bit more corporate and stuff like that, and that might be a reason why they're not the same company that they were before. So they're
totally
kicking it out and
agree.
trying to switch something else. But if I think as a rational person, you're just going to go from Project Veritas to OMG and just fucking just.
I mean,
stick
I'm
there.
gonna follow them both just to see if Project Veritas does what they were doing before. But I mean, obviously, like my faith isn't necessarily there like it was. Like I was high on Project Veritas,
Right.
and now I'm kind of in the middle, like not so sure about them. So I mean, as most people are, they lost so many followers.
Well, the one good thing about it now is we kind of have like a focal point, like to compare them at. So now we can see like this is what Project Veritas used to do. If they start switching up and we see OMG doing things the same way that the old Project Veritas used to be, it kind of gives us a background of what we can actually, of what actually is going on, who we should trust, who we shouldn't. You know what I mean?